I don't have a good shtick today, so fuck it. We're just gonna start. And welcome! It's yet another A Star to Scare Her By, your favorite Star Trek watching podcast. We're here watching all of The Voyager, as we've been doing. So certainly, as you've been Voyagering along with us, you know that this is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
Jake is somewhere.
This is Jake.
And this is Skipper Chris.
Oh,
I love it.
Can I be Gilligan?
Fuck yeah.
I'm gonna be that
Timbers.
I'm gonna be that electric eel.
Nice.
Can I be the eel from Mario 64, the really creepy one that has the star in his tail and he's just kind of like hanging out in that little hidey hole being all sketchy?
Yes, you can.
Great, thanks.
It's always a bigger fish.
Always a bigger electric eel.
I made so many fucking Gungan jokes during that episode.
He did the boss
I did
nass
boss
and
nass.
everything.
I'm actually really
I wonder
ashamed
if they
we
like the Naboo.
We didn't do a single goddamn joke.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me.
No, we're doing them now.
Oh, you know why also? We watched them separately for once.
True.
That's the best way to do it. So what are we talking about? We're talking about our episodes that we watched this week for our episode 284.
Woo!
Fuck yeah!
Woo! And it's a fun week this week because we're talking about episodes Nothing Human and 30 Days. Let's start off by talking about Nothing Human. The first thing, we're hanging out. We're doing the whole thing. I think this is the one that starts with the holodoc making us watch a fucking
slideshow.
Vacation slideshow of shit he likes.
Of all the things this show seeded to pay off, it's the doctor having a fucking camera.
There were some good jokes. I gave them credit for that.
Check out this Vulcan schlong. Well, okay, more like a testicle, but still.
Anyway.
Look how much mud we put all over Robbie McNeil.
That was pretty funny.
Good times. Yeah, so anyway, we're in the middle of this slideshow. We get, something's happening. We should go check it out. Turns out the thing that we want to check out is some kind of distress signal, but it's all garbled nonsense. And they're like, what is this? Let's go find out. And they find a little ship. It's all cute and broken. And they beam over the injured pilot of this ship, which is some kind of monster. It's just a very cute little scorpion puppet thing. And they're like, we don't know what the fuck this thing is. It's injured and we can't tell how. What are we gonna do? B'Elanna walks in, ready to give Tom a piece of her mind about something for the week. And it fucking lunges at her, attaches to her everything, and cannot be removed. And EMH says, damn it, this is a big pain in my ass. Let's figure out how to remove this monster from B'Elanna, whom we need for things. And Tom is there being the dutiful boyfriend, sitting by her bedside the whole time, and they realize, okay, the doc doesn't have the exobiology files because he didn't need them because we don't have any fucking critters on the ship until now.
He watched Alien one time.
It's gonna burst from her chest. Oh, God. So he says, okay, well, what we can do is start up the Leia Brahms program, but switch the skin over to somebody who'd be useful in this situation. I pick this brilliant Cardassian exobiologist, Krell Mossett, who's my new best friend.
Who I'm gonna call Dr. McDreamy for the rest of the episode.
Who, me or you?
Me.
Oh.
Us, we both can.
He had that Cardassian swagger.
Oh,
He was very fun.
It was so upsetting. I was like, oh, I'm immediately attracted to this man.
Jesus Christ.
McDreamy, more like McHitler.
Oh, God!
I was going to say McMengele.
Spoilers.
So we figure out, as we're determining how to remove monsters from B'Elanna, that, oh shit, the
real monster
is not
journey.
Our new best friend Tabor, who's a Bajoran ensign, walks in and says, "Guys, that's fucking Josef Mengele. Krell Mossett, who is a fucking genocidal nutbag who performed so many experiments on Bajorans. He killed my grandpa and my brother personally with his bare hands." Here's a list.
I didn't notice that he had bare hands. That's weird for a Cardassian.
Normally, he'd have human hands.
Whatever. I'm glad that Ames went with it.
The
Chris
fact that
looks disgusted and Ames went with it.
It's just so weird for you two to be in sync like this.
Yay!
It's very strange.
They should have kept him on board. But anyway, moving on.
Alright, Spock.
I was going to say that's why. It's because we're both thirsty.
So B'Elanna, who comes in and out of consciousness throughout the episode, and she says, okay, if it's going to be Chromaset, or even any of the information that we ever got from Chromaset, which is in Starfleet's databanks, I refuse to let you treat me. And Janeway says, over-fucking-ruled! Captain out! Doctor, do your surgery on B'Elanna. Meanwhile, the other critters of this race are coming asking for him, and we can't understand what they're saying because they speak in screeches and mumbles.
But it's our own fault because we sent them a message. Like, help.
Yeah, but they came here and they're not gonna help. They seem to just want their guy back, but their guy is permanently affixed to B'Elanna. Like, he's got tendrils down in her kidneys and shit. You can't just rip that off.
Lungs. Yeah, no, thank you.
So Chromaset realizes, okay, if we stab it here with some kind of device, it'll eventually let go. And the doc says, but that will kill it. Let's not do that. And Chromaset says, sometimes you have to kill some things to make an omelet. And the doc says, stay out of my kitchen, god damn it. So the doctor manages to say, Chromaset, step over there for a second while I not kill this thing.
I was just thinking, if you want to make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs, and, like, Neelix is furiously taking notes.
No!
Break the eggs? No.
So they remove the critter from B'Elanna, they beam it back to its friends, they're happy, they leave. We never learned a thing about them other than they exist, and they're kind of cool. B'Elanna is fucking pissed that this is the way that they went, and Janeway has to, basically, tell her, I needed you as a crew member, and
suck it up,
I
Buttercup.
have the total authority on your life, so enjoy that.
That feels wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctor goes over to Chromaset after, being told, deal with it, Doc. This is your puppy now. Go old Yeller, the old boy.
Oof.
And after Maset's like, yeah, but my studies can help you guys save people, even though they were done in really horrific ways, and it's unethical, but the ethics flip over when you're using it to save people, and holy shit, this is a complex conversation to have. Oh, no, we've deactivated him. We'll never see him again. The end.
And everybody's happy except Caitlin and Ames.
So, there's one thing about this episode that made me super uncomfortable.
Tom covered in mud.
No, not that. One of the unintended messages of this episode is maybe racism is okay.
In which way?
Because a bunch of people are like, I don't trust him because he's a Cardassian. And the doctor's like, wow, that's fucking narrow-minded of you. But then he turns out to be a monster.
Okay, but the thing is, you could say that about every episode with a Cardassian.
Yeah, I was
Or a
gonna say,
Klingon sometimes.
Like 9 times out of 10, being racist against Cardassians turns out to be an accurate reaction.
But
Duet! But we learned about this in season 1
right.
of DS9!
Well, right. Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I think this episode's actually a pretty interesting pairing with Duet, because they both tackle very complex questions of moral and ethical debates.
Yeah.
One thing I thought, though, speaking of Duet, is for me, this episode almost felt like another instance of a DS9 script that got in the wrong pile.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they had to introduce a one-off character to be a Bajorn that would recognize him. When it's just wouldn't it have been better if it was, Major Kira that had the alien on her and, Julian?
No, because then Kira would have committed, ritual suicide after she found out how she was saved.
She'd have blown up the station. Oh, wait, that's Janeway.
I guess at that point you would have had to make it so that the real guy is dead so that you would need a hologram of him as opposed to just getting him.
But, here's the thing. It is a complex debate about all the shit, right? But we still use shit that we learned from the Nazis all the fucking time. I understand
Nazis, hell, the Tuskegee experiment.
I don't know what that is.
There's a Japanese one, too.
Well, the Tuskegee experiment was the United States.
Yes, I know.
Okay, yeah.
You don't even need to go to Nazi...
I thought you said Nazis held. You said Nazis held.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't even need to look at the Nazis. Just look at us.
But if we want to make the comparison and call this guy...
No, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Nazi scientist doctor number
But what
one.
I mean is, it's so convenient to always kind of fall back on Mengele, and again, even the show chickens out and doesn't talk about human experimentation we did, and it's just like we used to experiment on like chickens and shit, and it's like, really,
Yeah.
you're gonna not nut up and say it.
Well, the thing is, like the Tuskegee, from what I understand,
I don't know anything about it. Can you tell me from like the beginning?
The Tuskegee experiment was the U.S. government basically went to this, basically a black community and took all these black men, some of which had syphilis and some of which did not, and said, okay, we're going to put you in this syphilis experiment where we're going to try to figure out how to cure your syphilis.
Oh, no, they didn't even tell them.
Oh, that's true. They
and
did.
Some of them were intentionally
that's true.
infected, I believe.
They told them that it was like an experiment to research something.
Yeah, they were completely lied to about what it was.
And basically, for the next 40 plus years, the U.S. government did not treat these people's syphilis, even though there were effective treatments for syphilis.
Yeah, but that shit kills you. What the fuck, you assholes?
So they just basically, they wanted to see, like, oh, are these other things that aren't the cure for syphilis effective at treating syphilis? And a bunch of people died, and it was horrible, and, like, it took until the 90s, I think, before the government, like, apologized for it, but from, like, the 40s to the 70s or something, it was a big thing.
But yeah, they're obviously going for a Mengele thing.
Yeah, and like, another good example that I was reading about is, like, and again, I'm not a doctor, don't know very much about it, but I have read the internet.
He's wearing the mirror on the head thing.
That's how you know he's a doctor.
But, like, essentially, a lot of what we know, we as in science...
Dr. Jake?
about how people react in freezing temperatures and hypothermia comes from research that was done at Dachau.
Oh, good.
Where's that?
One of the death camps.
Okay.
Where basically the Nazis, not Mengele specifically, but other Nazis, basically were like, okay, we know we're going to go to war in Russia, so it's
cold there.
It's cold there, so
Very
we
cold.
want to know how our soldiers are going to deal with the freezing temperature. And they just let a bunch of people freeze to death and, like, die from exposure. And then after the war, the Allies and everyone, who got access to this research were like, oh, wow, this is really good research because it's well documented, they're well constructed studies, and we could never do this because it fucking kills people and it's horribly unethical. But we'll just ignore that part, and we'll just use this research, and it's still in use today.
It doesn't make the science untrue.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what frustrated me about this episode.
And then, of course, I mean, this isn't medical science, but how many Nazi rocket engineers worked for NASA?
Oh, yeah. What's the one that who do we meet in For All Mankind?
Von Braun.
I always want to say Van Gelder, but he's the
Von
madman
Braun
from
was like
TOS.
I thought you were going to say, I always want to say Van Gogh, and I was like, nope.
But yeah, so there is...
Not even close.
Like, that's the thing, is there's just so many real-world examples of us utilizing unethically sourced science.
And should we wipe our history books because of it?
No.
Yeah, well, because, I mean, there's a couple arguments, right?
Or science books, really.
So, like, one argument is that, this research was unethically obtained, it is forever tainted, and we should not use it.
That's crazy.
But then the other argument is this research was unethically obtained. People died or were seriously injured in the acquisition of it, and we should not minimize their perhaps unwitting or unwilling sacrifice. We should, respect that sacrifice and use the research that they suffered and died for.
Yes, that one.
But, that's a huge ethical debate. I know, none of us around the table have any connection to the Holocaust. None of us are Jewish or have family that was directly impacted. So or Tuskegee for that matter. So it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh yeah, no, we should use this research. But I think that there's, we're probably not well equipped to make that judgment on our own.
Yeah, you just shared with me, and I'll share this on the Facebook, because there's a great article from a couple years ago out of BU, where they had this atlas of, like, just all the stuff that was learned, or, some stuff that was learned from various experimentation, and they had, like, great detailed diagrams of the body and stuff that the Nazi scientists came up with. And in a certain book that was in BU...
Boston University.
Yeah, Boston University. Thank you, Jake. had like the signatures of the scientists with little swastikas and SS's around them, and like little hearts around the swastikas and shit like that. And in some copies of that book, those are airbrushed out. But the one at BU, they realized, oh shit, this one's got all the swastikas in it. This one's got all the clear paraphernalia in it.
Who's drawing little hearts around swastikas? Hitler? He's like, doo-doo-doo-doo. Like, what the
Wait,
fuck?
there were literally...
Not hearts.
No.
That's me joking.
That's what I thought, but I realized I should probably
I
check.
thought we meant it. I was like, God
the
damn.
other stuff was real.
Yeah.
And someone said, you need to remove this because it's Nazi stuff, but also you need to preserve this because it's actually really good information that doctors use all the time.
Yeah, well, the same thing with the exposure stuff. It's just like, yeah, this was very... So, like, here's the thing, though, right? A lot of that unethical research, it turns out that it was bad research to begin with. Like, the Tuskegee stuff, not useful research. It was not... Like, it was wasted. All that time and all those people that suffered and died for nothing because the research wasn't done well, and they didn't learn anything useful. You know, and like the Mengele's twin studies, right? Mm-hmm. Like in that case, from what I understand, again, layman here, not a ton of that research was particularly useful beyond eugenics experiments, right? Ugh. But on the flip side, you have research like the book with the illustrations that, you know, again, it's like some of the best illustrations of human anatomy, but they're from fucking, you know, drawings of Holocaust victims. And then you have, you know, the exposure experiments, which was well done research where they murdered people to get it, but the research was still good. So it's like, how do you reconcile that shit?
Yeah, what they said in the article, and one of the co-authors of this article was a rabbi who had a lot of like personal stake in this kind of stuff, was you insert like a plate in the book with the context because it is important to share where this came from if you're going to use it.
That's what I was going to say. Is like, I feel like if you are going to use it, airbrushing out where it came from is cowardice.
Yeah.
I just feel like it goes back to needing to teach ethics in schools and things, like where you're having scientists, like...
Oh, goodness, yes.
That's the whole thing. I feel like you should have to say, like, hey, here's this thing that's super useful, and here's where it came from, and here's, like, how not to fucking be like this and repeat this bullshit.
I don't know, it sounds like CRT to me, Kate.
They actually did a study at MIT showing that their
Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Well, being fair, there is the Myanmar Institute of Technology, so... No, there really is.
I know,
anyway,
She's making fun of me.
I know. But they did a study, and they found that their undergraduates were graduating with worse ethics than they'd come in with, which is fucking terrifying.
Well, because everybody turns into a mad scientist at MIT.
The best of mad scientists.
Of course, this is also the school that decided to invite Henry Kissinger to speak about ethics and AI.
Oh,
two fields he is in no way qualified to speak on.
Yeah, I'll pass on that lecture.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, so... Interestingly, one thing that I thought this episode was missing, and kind of why I feel like it would have been better as a DS9 episode, is...
Derek.
Yes. Well, no, sort of.
Sort of.
So we had to introduce this, basically a background character as...
Tabor?
Tabor, to be this Bajoran guy that recognizes Masset. Masset?
Masset, yes.
Okay. Was there also a Gull Masset?
I think... There was something similar.
Oh, was it? Okay. I was like, this that can't be right.
I love when Star Trek doesn't actually bother to make up new names.
Right.
I mean,
it's a common name.
That's the thing. It's like
it could be.
It makes it a little more real.
It's the Smith of Cardassian.
I'd say it's a little more realistic though, because there are have surnames that are similar but not exact.
But anyway, they introduce this character, and then he complains to Chakotay basically, and that kind of gets the ball rolling on this. But then he doesn't really show up much else in the episode, which to me feels like they lost that perspective, and kind of made it about...
They gave that perspective to B'Elanna. It was contagious.
Yeah. Well, but wasn't he also the one at the beginning who was like bitching and moaning that Seven was in charge of engineering too?
That's just so he wouldn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I found that almost invalidating to his really serious and like good point later on.
Well, here's the thing though. I think what the writers are trying to do is set up that he and B'Elanna, because he's also, not only is he being a shit to 7 of 9, he's also saying like, well, B'Elanna also would have been a shit to you. And so I think what they were trying to establish is that he and B'Elanna are kind of racist, and they don't like Seven.
Super tight, like racists usually are.
Yeah, they're so that way when B'Elanna's upset that she's being treated by a Cardassian, and when he's upset about the Cardassian, your initial thought is, well, that's just because they're prejudiced, right? They're former Maquis who look at
they're in the same bubble.
Yeah, who look at the Cardassian as like a monster, like in that way. When the Doctor's like, "Oh, come on, not all Cardassians," they can kind of dismiss what they're saying. But then, of course, research, and that's the other thing I thought kind of lacked, was that like all that happens off screen where they do their investigation, and they find, oh well, he requisitioned these viruses, and then a bunch of people got sick, and like I don't know, I felt like the most interesting part of this to me was that the Masset hologram did not have knowledge of this.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, he was literally just a compilation of the knowledge of his science background.
But, and I feel like what they did to kind of undercut that was to have him be a little bit mad science-y, when it's like, oh, well, sometimes you gotta use a fucking medieval tool to slice open an alien.
Well, that's... What also kind of confused me, too, was, like, he's just an interface. So, yeah, I mean, he's some of his knowledge, but he's also just the Federation xenobiological database?
Yeah.
Like,
with a Cardassian face.
Yeah, like, how much of the knowledge was actually Dr. Evil's, and how much was just Federation data?
Dr. Evil.
See, I keep thinking to myself, like, okay, if Tabor and Torres are going to make this big stink over, you have this knowledge in your database that has come from Cardassian war crimes, expunge them from your system. They had fucking better, if and when they get back to Federation space, the first thing they say is, hey, Starfleet, wipe your records of all of this stuff, and if they don't, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, and, like, here's the thing. Masset makes a really good point at the end, before he gets shut off. I think he said this, or maybe I'm projecting it, but he said, I felt, when he's talking to the Dark, he's like, well, if you're going to delete my program because the research was unethically sourced, then you have to delete half of your database too, because, like, the history of medical science is a history of unethical shit being done to people. So to cherry pick me because I have this face is kind of
fucked up.
Just put him in some clown makeup. Like,
Well, I mean,
he's a hollow character. You could literally say, when Tabor says, oh, Cardassian, I don't like it, you just program him to look like Neelix or something.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the thing. Like,
oh, God, I like it even less now.
If they had chosen any other avatar for that program, it wouldn't have been a problem. Or it would have been a problem, just nobody would have known about it, I guess.
This really does
what are these swastikas doing here?
really does just point to the, really, like, just the Federation sucked when it came to Cardassia and Bajor.
Oh, yeah.
Because we said it before, like...
Except for Jellicoe. Jellicoe knew where it was at.
Like, they clearly ignored the Bajoran plight because they're cowards. And then, like, they obviously weren't paying any attention, because Starfleet intelligence should have known this guy. They knew nothing about him aside the official Cardassian line. Like, how little attention were you paying to these people? You pompous, jumped-up windbags.
They were paying a lot of attention. They just wanted to make sure to be on the winning side. Very American of them, in a way.
Also, correction, it wasn't Jellicoe that knew what was up with the Cardassians. It was fucking Maxwell. Justice for fucking Maxwell.
True.
Jellicoe knew what was up with Troy's horrible uniform. At least.
Yes, that's the thing.
True.
Maxwell was just
what
trying
what crime was greater? Everything that Krell was doing, or that fucking outfit?
The outfit, for sure.
Maxwell was just trying to make up for the fact that Starfleet Intelligence is the worst intelligence agency in the Alpha Quadrant or the Beta Quadrant, and I'm including fucking Romulan intelligence when I say that.
It's a fake.
But yes, the actual technical aspects aside, you have to kind of ignore those for the actual ethical center of the story to work, and I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, which it's a great debate to bring up to present to your watchers at home, to be like, this is something
just
that's
don't...
in fucking human life too, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, sci-fi is a lens for real life.
No,
that's how it works.
It's there for lasers and FTL.
Dragons.
Here's the thing, though. I find using unethically sourced medical knowledge less fucked up than Janeway deciding that she gets to override a patient's...
That was pretty
that's
upsetting.
fucked up. She was of sound mind. She was able to make her own decision. There's no reason why that should have happened. That was way more fucked up.
And I also feel
opinion.
like not just that, but the doctor going along with it. Because I
Yeah.
feel like the doctor's ethical subroutines would have.
It did in Tuvix.
Yeah, exactly.
He turned like off and said, "I won't do this."
Yeah,
No,
I can't be
But
ordered.
here's the drug.
I was also weirded out by the fact that even once they were on to the real thing, he was still letting Gull use the scalpel. It's like,
Yeah, it's a tool
why
he's
aren't
comfortable
we
with.
using the better tools now, you fucking psycho?
See, that would have been an interesting way to do this episode. It really would have painted Janeway into a dark place.
I'm all for that.
Is
That's
if
fun.
the doctor refused to go against B'Elanna's wishes, so she shut him off and had Masette do it anyway.
Oh, that is dark.
And it also upholds the doctor that way too, because you feel like he generally tries to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would...
Well, it would have been consistent with what he did in Tuvix.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, I also find that at the very end, the doctor shutting off Masette's program and deleting it, I don't know, it doesn't sit...
It's a meaningless gesture.
Yeah.
They've still got the information in the databanks.
Well, I think the show wants you to understand that, though.
Yeah.
They removed the information from the databanks.
They did?
Yeah.
No, well, he said delete medical advisor program, whatever it was
And
called.
some algorithms, but he didn't
And
say
I
anything
thought
about data.
and I forget what the exact phrasing was, and something related to it.
Yeah, I think the implication was that everything got deleted.
Oh, well, that's fucking dumb.
But I also think that,
They run into another exo whatever, they're in big shit.
I think, I'm a little angry with Janeway in this episode. A, because she went against B'Elanna's thing and ordered the doctor to do the procedure. But then she abdicated the decision to delete Masette's program to the doctor.
And then, basically just told B'Elanna, fuck you for being mad at me for violating your wishes.
That's an order.
Extra.
Get over it, bitch.
Yeah.
It was one thing to be I'm the captain, this is a bad decision, but I'm gonna make it. It's another to be fuck you, I saved your life.
You don't get to have feelings about this.
Ooh, this is... Ooh.
And this is like...
You didn't
Honestly,
save my
though,
life, you ruined my
I'm
death.
I'm angry about the decision that Janeway made, because I think it was an unethical thing to do.
Mhm.
But I'm so glad that it was made in this episode, because it humanizes Janeway to the extent that it's if she lets her chief engineer die,
Yeah.
they're fucked. The whole crew is fucked. I wish the episode showed more of that moral dilemma.
Mm.
And
that's a good point.
and
That would have been a good her and Chakotay chatting it out sort of thing, almost.
Oh yeah, because Chakotay would have an interesting perspective on
Yeah,
it.
it's very Tuvix-y, because it's the whole crew, killing Tuvix was a fucking horrible decision to make, but in Janeway's view, it was worth it to get Neelix and Tuvok
Yeah,
back.
we saw her internal debate, and we saw
didn't
that it was
see it as much in this episode,
Not in
and,
this
and I feel like it
episode.
was missing a little. And I know it was probably missing for time, but
Yeah, they wanted to focus more on the doctor's dilemma.
How many ethical debates can you fit in one episode?
yeah. So I don't really fault the episode for not including it, but I am glad that it happened, and that I think for the character of Janeway, yes, it makes Janeway a little ethically compromised, but it also adds additional depth to Janeway.
Yeah. See, I also give credit to those kinds of decisions, because your characters shouldn't be perfect.
Yeah,
Because that's
not
at all.
fucking boring.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the TNG characters who never make mistakes, they're always moral, high groundy kind of characters. We'll talk about later this episode about those kinds of decisions that they make. How they're always the best ones. They can't be. That's boring television.
And I'll say that I think the one aspect that I did not like,
Tom covered in mud.
no,
Damn it.
was Janeway. I loved that B'Elanna got emotional and screamed at Janeway basically and said, "You have no right."
Mhm.
I thought that was wonderful. I thought Janeway acting sanctimonious about it was the wrong decision. I feel like they fucked up. They fumbled at the goal line.
Yeah.
By not having Janeway, maybe reshoot that scene from Janeway's perspective, and then have her maybe behave sanctimoniously towards B'Elanna, because she has to portray this air of, I'm the captain and I know what's best, but then she leaves the room and like has a breakdown or like
in Tuvix.
In Tuvix.
Like she leaves the room after making Tuvok and Neelix into things again, and then goes out the room and it's all in her face.
Yeah.
It's face acting.
Yeah, exactly, and we know Mulgrew can pull that off.
Yeah.
So show it to us, and because like it kind of makes Janeway seem like a big asshole at the
Yeah.
end, because I do not respect. Yes, you can be angry at me, B'Elanna, but I don't respect that. Get suck it up and get back to work when you can. But it makes her seem very robotic and not. Spock would behave that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like a fuck up for a character they've shown makes hard decisions but isn't callous about them.
Yeah.
But in this one, she just seems kind of callous. It feels wrong.
But again, I think that I think it was a production issue because, again, like you said, they wanted to focus on the Doctor and his issue and not Janeway.
Yeah.
So maybe
there's little in this episode that you could cut to add in anything more.
Yeah.
See, I think it would have been way more interesting. That's another thing that could have been more interesting is if the Doctor made the call to go forward with the treatment.
And what would Janeway have said? Would Janeway have said, "It's up to you, Doctor," or what?
Maybe Janeway says you have to respect the patient or something. I don't know. Maybe
not with the next episode being so...
True.
You can't have two, what is it called? Insubordination episodes in a row.
True.
Plus, then we have to deal with his insubordination, and there's just no room for that. It would take too long.
She puts the Doctor in the brig for 30 days.
Everyone dies. There's like an outbreak of some kind of flu.
Tom, you're the Doctor again.
Oh no, they just transfer his program back to sickbay whenever there's an emergency.
Worse yet, they get Krell. They're like, here.
Yes.
They I guess could have spent a little more time. Not much, obviously, because again, this was pretty packed. But they did sort of mention in passing, like, can we be sure of how able she is to make a sensible decision when she's got this thing like so tied up in her systems?
Torres, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't in her brain. It was in her lungs.
No, but it was in...
Those are systems.
Still, it was all over the place, so they don't really, they can't be sure. Maybe it does have some sort of weird connection. All I know is when they first beamed it aboard, it's like, oh no, Janeway's babies are here for revenge.
Oh, it was cute-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we saw
You were gonna say that.
We saw very little of it, and that was a shame. I also know poor Dawson, the poor thing, hated working on this episode because she was
wear that fucking suit
stuck on the table, not moving under a really uncomfortable rubber puppet.
Yes, it was probably heavy and hot.
Yeah, because it's also got the little inflators in there to make it look like it's breathing, even though you barely saw it.
Yeah, I don't remember noticing it.
I will say I remember noticing it a couple times. So.
Oh, that's good.
One thing I did notice too, speaking of, if we're on more technical things, they did a really bad job on Tabor's nose.
Who?
Oh, the Bajoran kid? I didn't notice.
Oh god, there's one scene especially where they do a close up on him, and it's like, you just put some putty on the bridge of his nose and put some lines in.
But that's how you do it.
No, but
I think the other one.
It wasn't well.
It's like a sculpted prosthetic.
Yeah, like it wasn't well integrated. Like it was obviously just slapped on this kid's face.
And like you'd think that like if they didn't have, I mean, obviously they probably didn't have a nose that was fitted for that actor. That's probably why they
But like if you're gonna have close-ups of him, fucking spend the extra money. And
that makes me want to try out a Bajoran nose sometime. Because it's actually not that difficult.
Not really, no.
Just take like a little life cast of this part of your face. And
I was just thinking directly apply the putty and just like shape it in and then just...
I see, I'd make it prosthetic.
Well, of course you would. You have a 3D printer.
But yeah, no,
and
there's
skills and know-how.
I guess it wasn't too bad in most of the wide shots, but there was just this one close-up where it's just like, this is trash. Yeah. Plus, normally the lines like are sort of almost V-shaped, kind of, and his just seemed to be straight across, and it was just like, this is lazy.
Your curved lines.
Okay. So while we're being nitpicky about aesthetic things in the episode, I think the thing that pissed me off the most about this episode is this whole fucking time I've been defending the holo imager because I thought it took like holo images.
Oh yes, you did.
Not just fucking photographs.
Let's be fair. Maybe it could still be both, and he was just choosing to project them that way because he's artistic. I don't know.
Yeah, the fact that it was just a PowerPoint, I was like, no, not fun. Should have been like little holodeck dioramas. Is what it should have been.
That's a good point. And then you have an actual Tom covered in mud.
Yeah.
In front of you. You can poke him.
Take pictures with it. Like at Madame Tussauds.
But overall, I don't know. I think this episode was really well done.
Yeah,
I think they
very
handled
good.
the topic really well. There's a few obvious. I mean, there's always going to be a few things to bitch about.
Yeah,
but
and again, being times on the way over, like, there's no good or easy answer, and it's because if there was an easy answer, there wouldn't be an ethical dilemma.
Yeah,
Right.
and there wouldn't be an episode.
and because I don't know if I had seen this episode before this viewing because I don't remember any of it.
Yeah,
but
not familiar to me.
it was fucking telegraphed because the second I saw they had a Bajoran character in that scene with someone, and you can vouch for this. I said, "Oh, the it's going to turn out that this guy's going to see the Cardassian and freak out."
Yep.
Which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, you were also asking during the episode watching Jake about did they have a new director of photography or something because the filming is different.
I noticed that not just in this episode but in the last couple episodes they've been using a lot more handheld shots.
Huh.
So I was wondering if there was if they got a new DP or something because just
Did the Blair Witch Project just come out? Is that why this happened?
maybe, I don't know, but yeah, because there was this whole. It was I think it might have even been a one shot from a big chunk of the scene in the conference room when they're kind of arguing about the moral situation. And I think it's a one shot while everybody's arguing. Then it's not until Janeway kind of puts her foot down and is like, no, we're going through with it, that it finally cuts to us like a shot.
Yeah, I think for this episode, it was definitely a conscious decision of the director, David Livingston, because it's such a talky episode. Like, there's so much debate happening in the Cardassian holodeck, in the med bay, in the conference room. They're just always talking. And I know whenever I listen to Delta Flyers, Robbie, who's also a director and thinks about things from a very much director point of view, has said something in your shot always has to be moving. It's either the people in the shot, the camera, or the emotion. And for this one, I think they, Livingston specifically said, we're going to find ways to keep moving so that nothing is boring to watch, so there's always something keeping the eye engaged. And I think that's why Jake noticed it, particularly this episode.
And then Michael Bay took the wrong lessons from that.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, this episode didn't have a ton of action, but for me, this is like Star Trek at its best.
Yeah.
This is the type of shit they should be doing.
This is one of my favorite episodes
It could
of this
be-
series, I would say.
It could be even like maybe they didn't get a new DP. Maybe they just got a new camera. Maybe they got a better
Something that could move in those closed sets.
Yeah, maybe there had been. I don't know enough about the history of television cameras, but maybe there'd been recently some sort of new one that was cheaper or lighter, or more people were able to get their hands on it, whereas previously it would have been prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, because I've seen when you look at the shooting sets for TNG, they were all closed sets, so they're all full sets, and they would just remove a wall to get the shot they need, where they would have to set up all their lights and equipment. So maybe they had a smaller, more portable camera where they could actually do a steady cam.
Yeah,
Steadicam, that was the word.
Yeah.
I was sitting here trying to think of the term Steadicam this whole time.
It could be that just they finally were given some money by UPN, or again maybe there'd been a
technology was advancing a lot at this time. This is probably right around the time Star Wars came out, and that was one of the first movies to do digital shooting instead of film.
Yeah.
We're all the worse for it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think the
well, not the digital.
yeah,
no.
the quality
Sorry,
of
just kidding.
the quality of the cinematography was good on that movie. But
I mean, for all that people bitch about it, once it got smaller and cheaper and this and that, it really helped democratize filmmaking, because one of the most expensive parts of filmmaking was
The
film and developing it.
yeah, filming it, developing it. Yeah, now you just have a big upfront cost or a rental for the camera itself, and then however many memory cards you need.
Yeah, so like so many innovations, it was really just classism that was upset.
Now you have actual television shows that are filmed on prosumer cameras. And stuff.
Yep.
On what kind of camera?
Professional grade
prosumer,
consumer.
nice SLR cameras and things like that. Not stuff that you would expect a movie camera to be in the hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, but you can get almost that level of quality with stuff you can buy for a few $1,000s now.
Yeah, so still quite expensive, but more within reach than it used to be.
Not to say that there isn't still a huge market for million dollar cameras, sure.
There's still people that insist on using film, for Christ's sakes.
Anywho,
yeah.
The last thing I wanted to bring up is that it was very nice to see such a non-human alien. And I know, like, they kept saying over and over again, you know, it's a very intelligent species. Obviously, it can fly a ship, so it's sapient.
Yep.
It can communicate in its own way. But I like how they mentioned how it flies its ship.
Yeah.
Which was through some kind of chemical thing.
Yeah.
So it's, like, actually in there, like, hooked up to its ship, and it's using its actual body to fly it. Cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, we don't
It's
see...
like the Jaegers in Pacific Rim.
Fuck. Damn it. No, I don't like him anymore.
Speaking of Pacific Rim, the ocean.
Yay! Oh, you found the segue, Chris. What a weird segue. Yeah, so we're going to go from Cardassia straight into the ocean. We're on vacation with Doc and his hollow imager going to the beach. Let's talk about 30 Days. All right, we start off this episode doing a frame story device, which I usually like frame story devices, and I think this was a good use of one. They start off, and we see Tom going and getting himself demoted to ensign. Janeway is obviously pissed about something. He goes to the brig. He's going to be in solitary confinement, which is still a thing in Starfleet somehow.
That bothered the fuck out of me, but we'll talk about it.
Holy shit. Going to solitary confinement for 30 days for whatever it was he just did, and he starts up a little hollow recording for his dadums at home to say, hey Dad, I'm in prison, let me tell you the story, so you don't judge me even though you already are. Fuck you, Dad. And then through this little framing device, it tells the story of what happened with Tom. And what happened with Tom is we're playing Captain Proton some more, which is lots and lots of fun, and Garrett, or Harry, is about to play with the Delaney sisters, which is his new kink. But suddenly, oh no, some other thing is happening. We go to the bridge. No, we go to the bridge, not the brig, the bridge, and we're checking out this new ocean planet, and it's like all water, which seems fucking impossible. And they say, this is really cool. Who wants to go for a dip? Let's go check it out. We go down there, we meet the inhabitants, the Monians. And they say, hey guys, sure, you can look at our planet a little bit, and there it is. It's all water. We're cool. But you know what's one thing that kind of sucks about our planet, our water planet here, is that it seems to be losing water at an increasing rate, which we're not cool with. And everyone on the Voyager says, we'll help, because that's what they do. They love helping. So they send Tom in the Delta Flyer with our new friend Riga, who's their Monian scientist friend.
Who seems like a derp.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Like, he just seems like he's a little bit derpy.
He looks kind of like a little, like, rodent creature.
The actor that played him, he plays a really fun character on Stargate.
Oh, is he that guy?
Yeah.
He's the writer guy?
The writer guy.
Oh, I love that episode.
He's in a few episodes.
Yeah, I love his episodes. Yeah. He's always fun. Him aside, so we splash down into the water. We're checking everything out. We're going for a swim. And we say, we figured out something in your water that's not going well. There's this looks like a big COVID-19 virus in the water. But it's a little metal thing that's like,
a vinculum.
I forget what the fuck they called it. They called it something, but it's unimportant. I'll just call it the MacGuffin for now. And they say, let's see if we can regulate this MacGuffin thing by giving it some power. And that seems to help the waters a little bit. And they're like, good, well, if we just keep doing that, we'll be okay. And Tom and the other scientists go up to Voyager and say, yeah, bad news, that's not the only fucking problem with your water planet. The other fucking problem with the water planet is that you guys have been mining it for the oxygen in the water, which is screwing up the balance of the density of the water.
The motion of the ocean, if you will.
Yes, the water is heavier than it should be, and it's fucking up this MacGuffin thing that's keeping it regulated. So if you guys stop harvesting the oxygen from the water, you'll be okay. Yet another, environmental issue in Voyager. Neat.
I love it.
So we give all these suggestions to the kind of political diplomat guy, Burkus, who just seems like a fucking jerk. And he says, yes, I will take all of these, and I will line my parrot's bird cage with them so that it can shit all over them. And Tom is getting... what happened there.
That was magic.
Yay!
Just
And Tom is getting particularly bleeding hard about this whole issue, saying, but I love water so much, and it's always been established that my character loves the ocean.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So I'm going to put my foot down and say we should help the Monians with their water thing. And Janeway has to say, Tom, there's a Prime Directive, and they said that they're going to handle it. We can't make them do shit because Prime Directive. And Tom says, well, you may not be able to, but I can. So he goes and finds Riga and says, Riga, hop on this high horse, we're going down there. And Riga says, we shouldn't bring a horse down there, it will drown.
there it is. Chris has finally been broken.
Oh, you're on a roll this week.
Whee! The parrot's okay, though. It's a sea parrot.
You always
It's
got
a parrotfish. So Delta Flyer going in. Tom and Riga back in action. They're gonna go down there. We're gonna destroy a bunch of these oxygen mining contraptions. Not the people. The people they're not going to try to hurt. They go down there, and Janeway in the Voyager is saying, well, we're going to have to attack Tom. And Harry is there having all kinds of crises about this. And I think he should have just left the bridge and hid under the bed. The poor thing. So Janeway, at the very same moment that Tom is launching his missile-y things at the mining contraptions, Janeway is also shooting torpedo-y things at something in general. And the two meet perfectly underwater, which was very strange.
Yeah.
And it happens to shut down the Delta Flyer through this shock wave or something. Literal wave. It's the ocean. And they drag Tom back up on a fishing reel and say, Tom, we told you not to do that, and now, we've undone what you were about to do, so this planet is going to die anyway in 5 years, so we didn't even let you help.
You were a bad boy and you accomplished nothing.
So this is why you're back in the brig. And he's like, this is where the frame story comes in. And, he sends this message off to his father about, how I stand for something, sometimes, Dad. The end.
Harry Kim gets a good jab in on Tom where he's like, when he's writing to his dad, and he's like, you never finish anything, you little bitch, just like your dad said. Harry knew what he was doing.
Yeah. As far as doing a terrorism goes, I'll take Tom over that time Worf backed those assholes on Risa.
Oh, man. Fuck that episode. When I rewatched that, it pissed me off so much.
Rightly so.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Well, this is starting to not feel
it
very good.
Doesn't feel great after a while.
You guys are weird.
So yeah, before we get to the meat of it, as you
Captain
said...
Proton!
No, not that.
Damn
That's
it.
part of the meat of it. Starfleet wouldn't have, or shouldn't have,
Solitary
anymore.
No!
Maybe Janeway brought it back.
I mean, maybe like military discipline is different.
That's still fucked up. The fact that it's still allowed at all is deeply fucked up.
It is very, very well known how detrimental to a person that this thing
It also
is.
it seems to me to be such a fucking waste to have him cool his heels in the brig where you have to have somebody bring him meals and you have
They should have beamed in the meals.
or they should have just confined him to quarters like they do all the time.
Well, I get you want to punish him, so take away his computer access, make him scrub out the ion buffers or whatever.
With his toothbrush.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Lon Suitor murdered a guy.
And he was only confined to quarters.
Yeah.
He's dreamy.
Tom committed a minor terrorism and definitely got Riga killed. He was returning his government and they killed the fuck out of him.
Oh no, Riga!
But he
No, they might not be.
No, they definitely did. But he also kind of was like, I know the risks and I want to do it. He was willing to sacrifice himself for the betterment of his people.
And it didn't even save his people.
No, they don't deserve him.
Well, you gotta hope that maybe it did draw the attention he was hoping for.
I don't know. Those
Yeah, no, this planet's doomed. I know.
Yeah.
Nice to pretend.
Those
Our planet.
those,
Hey.
environmentalists, those oil people that keep trying to destroy priceless artworks these days.
Wait, which thing is this?
What's this?
There's this group of
Priceless artwork.
yeah. There's this group of you haven't seen this. They're anti.
Are they full of oil?
No, they're
Oil paintings.
anti-oil
Yes.
climate activists, and they've done a bunch of and their whole thing is making public displays of bullshit, and they threw paint at a Van Gogh painting and have been trying to Like the paintings are fine because
they're all behind
glass. But it's
so
like
they're just making statements.
It's symbolic, and then their whole thing. But it really only has been drawing negative attention to the group, like
anything PETA does.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, thank you, we know about you now, but we're not really.
We know about you, and we think you're fucking
we
dumb.
think you're jackasses, guys. But like, yeah, I agree with the message. I think, but I guess I don't really know what the message is, other than look at me, I'm being an asshole. But anyway, so I don't know, maybe that's how it came off on Riga's planet.
Yeah, who knows? I do enjoy that we know nothing about the people that made this ball.
Oh, ditto, yeah.
Like, we get a little bit, like, hey, here's what we can tell from its database. Shrug.
Yep.
Because you don't need to explain every little detail of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. It's like, this is this crazy fucking thing. These people found it. It's their life now. Who the hell, like the fucking relay people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the same people. Maybe not.
Hey.
Who knows?
Maybe
Those assholes
it's
from
a
the chase.
caretaker. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe if they'd gone inside, they would have said, "Oh yeah, we'll send you back to the Alpha Quadrant."
There's a third caretaker in there.
Yeah, no, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. But yes, Captain Proton and his sparky jetpack, that was great.
Apparently, it burst into flames and burned Robbie's bum.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I was wondering if they just superimposed that later, because I was like, that looks like that would hurt. That must have been super, but no. Oh, God.
Oh, they did it wrong.
Poor
Robbie.
my God. Also, wow, season 5, and we finally see the Delaney sisters.
Yay, I like seeing them.
Although, acting-wise...
Well, they were supposed to be acting in the thing.
No, I
Jake, they're twins. I don't think anyone's concerned with their acting, just the fact that they're both hot in the exact same way.
Yeah.
I do think they were... And again, I think Ains is right. Like, I feel like they were better off the holodeck.
See, I thought they were worse on the holiday. Yeah.
Really?
Like when she's like, Tom is like, "Oh, did you finish that thing that I asked you?" She's like, "Oh no, I didn't. Well, I have to talk to 7 of 9, but I'll get it done by noontime." Or I don't know. It's just it felt like they had a casting call and picked the hottest twins that showed up, and that was how they cast it.
That's almost certainly what happened.
Yeah.
I did,
And there's Harry ruining it by giving a shit about their personalities or whatever.
Yeah, that felt a little icky too when
Tom's like, they're twins. What the fuck's
What's
wrong with
the
you?
difference?
yeah, that was a little first season Tom right there. But what I also did when Tom burst in to save him, big Galahad getting rescued.
Oh,
in
yes.
Holy Grail vibes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there was definitely about
Bad
to be
suit.
something going on.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
The twins seemed like a little too eager to fuck each other.
Mm.
I'll do whatever you say, mistress. Woo! It was a little incesty.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, I do not want to
Don't
know.
yikes me. I didn't write it.
I don't want to know
Didn't.
how much Rick
Or
Berman
did
enjoyed
I?
this
Maybe
scene.
that's why the Delaney sisters are such legendary figures in Starfleet.
Maybe they're not even really sisters.
There you go.
Maybe
They're transporter clones.
Who were like, by our powers combined, we will have lots of creepy
imagine
freeways.
if Second Chances, the alternate ending was Tom and Will Riker decide to
Double team Troy.
to get into like a porn career.
Why?
I mean, there is no
Talking about
way.
this.
I'm in.
There is no way that both of the Rikers do not at some point think, I wonder if I could get her to...
They probably sucked each other off, though. I mean...
Yeah, every guy tries to suck their own dick. This
I'm
is
saying, if you
basically
had
the
a
same
transporter
thing.
clone of yourself, I'm just saying, I don't know. I'll never say never.
Anyway, sorry,
Anyway.
I caused this.
Let me change the subject. Let's talk about that frame story element, because I know, like, this script ran so short that they said, what the fuck are we gonna add? And supposedly McNeil himself wanted to bring back the idea of his character kind of being rebellious and doing this thing, and he wanted to bring some of that back. And unclear where the let's make it a frame story came in, but I liked this one. I'm reminded of, oh god, what's the episode with Dr. Crusher trying to solve what happened to Dr. Rhaegar the Ferengi who flew into a sun?
I don't know the title, but yeah,
That one. I'm reminded of that one and how that frame story just didn't work.
Mm.
But this one I really like because they made it kind of this personal thing. You can see Tom wrestling with the same things he talked about back in Threshold, which was, I want people to respect me, so I want to do respectable things. And it's like, yeah, good.
I did think that, I know it had to happen for the story, I guess, or maybe it didn't, I don't know. But the whole, I've always been a sailor at heart, you know. It's like, come on, man.
Okay. He just means that he likes to go from port to port and have unprotected sex. That's what he means by being a sailor.
It's not in the 90s, Austin.
Well, they should, the filthy buggers. They go from port to port.
I do, though. Oh, God, you just reminded me.
Oh, no.
The 19th century isn't ancient in the 24th century.
Oh, it's this gripe.
Yes! Because he called them ancient sailing vessels. I was like, you motherfuckers. No! Stop it! Also, they should have replicated Tom a little skipper's hat.
Yes, they should have.
Yeah, and another thing I was reminded of is the joke in Futurama where they're like trying to take the ship
in the water.
Into the water, and they say, "Well, how deep can it go?" And
how many atmospheres?
Or how many atmospheres are going to take? And the professor's like, "Well, it's a spaceship, so somewhere between 1 and 0."
Being fair, because again, like Caitlin said a few weeks ago, does it need to be aerodynamic? This is meant to be a shuttle, so it is potentially going to be going to places with heavier atmosphere.
Yeah, they specifically designed it to go into that weird nebula thing and survive.
Why does the Federation have a navy?
Well, I imagine there's still boating on Earth.
Well, yeah, like recreational and maybe even commercial, but why is there a Federation naval patrol?
It's like the Merchant Marine. I don't know, man.
It's real. I looked it up to see if it ever comes up again. It does not.
Yeah.
Like, we will hear about navies once more in Enterprise, but that kind of makes sense.
I mean, here's the thing, though. So, we've well established that the Earth of Star Trek times is post-scarcity, and, there's... Nobody has to do a job.
Yeah.
So that's why so many people end up in Starfleet.
Yeah.
But I imagine a lot of the people that don't end up in Starfleet, some of them might take an interest in boats. And so it's like, well, we might as well have a navy because we have all of these people who otherwise have nothing to do and they like boats.
Maybe they're an ecological service. I could see that.
Yeah, they just
take care of the whales.
Yeah.
They go pat penguins.
There we go. That works. I'm down with that.
Chris loves penguins.
Penguins are good ones.
And birds in general are great, so penguins are even better.
Does B'Elanna ever visit Tom in jail? They let Harry do it briefly for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
She didn't want to turn it conjugal.
Yeah. I just feel so fucking bad for the poor bastard that has to stay in the brig as like the guard or whatever.
I mean, there's probably a rotation.
Well, but it just seems like on a ship that's undercrewed as it is.
Yeah, what a waste.
Like having just one crew member at any given time just standing around. Because also, I don't know if maybe they only staff it when there's somebody in the brig, but it didn't look like it. Because when they get to the brig, there's already a guy there. And
but they were expecting him.
And then when he leaves the brig, the guy stays behind and is still booping around on the computer. So
he's shutting it down.
He's playing The Sims.
Maybe.
I mean, honestly...
That's almost as bad as the poor bastards that have to stay in the...
transporter room all day?
Well, I was going to say in the Bussard collector.
Oh, I forgot about them. Worst job on the ship.
Yeah, you just throw yourself into the plasma stream for fun, I guess.
Well, fuck, we didn't remember that episode when we were talking about possessions.
Oh, yeah?
Shit!
That was a possession, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. God damn it.
Yeah, I thought of another one, too. Wasn't there something that took over Data once and was it the ugly bags of mostly water people?
Did they take him over?
Somebody, I feel like Data said they can use my body and mouth to talk to you guys.
Oh, yeah, that sounds
familiar. I forget
familiar.
who it was.
Ames got excited.
Anyway, sorry, I got us off course.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
But yeah, I'd imagine the guy. I'd imagine he was already there because, again, they knew they were sending Tom to the brig.
Yeah, but still, it just seems like such a waste of, just... confine Tom to quarters.
Yeah, maybe that guy wasn't very useful. We don't know.
Also, not solitary confinement if there's a guy right outside.
He's not allowed to talk to him.
He just has to stand there and not talk like a British guard.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? That seems like punishment too. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like
that guy's being punished as well.
Yeah, it's like you fucked up your duty. We're not going to lock you up, but we're going to make you stare at Tom all day.
Tom's going to try to talk to you. Ad nauseum, you cannot respond.
See, here's the thing. Janeway was going to give him the choice of solitary confinement for 30 days, the pillory for 10 days, or 10 lashings from the Delaney sisters.
Why didn't he go with that?
Yeah,
I
why
know.
wouldn't you go with that?
Because B'Elanna would have fucking killed him.
That's exactly right. Here's the other thing about this episode that they didn't actually go over in the episode, but it's obvious, is that after Tom got demoted to ensign, Harry Kim got demoted to sub-ensign. Because it's, you can't just... There's no way that Tom can't be at the same level as Harry.
Is he still going to be, like, demoted in the next episode?
Yeah. But here's the thing. I can't remember this when it happens, but I'm pretty sure he becomes a lieutenant again, and Harry remains an ensign. So Tom goes from prisoner in jail to lieutenant to ensign, prisoner in jail, back to lieutenant.
These guys will do anything but promote a person of color. Motherfuckers.
The lesson here, Harry, is break the law.
Got a promotion.
That's right.
We watched it.
Just took him 100 years.
Yeah.
But also, he probably turned it down like 5 times.
Yeah, very Spockian, like, I do not wish to be captain of a starship.
But yeah, seriously, just break the law, and apparently they'll finally notice you, Harry.
He tries. He tried last week.
Well, that's
future Harry.
reality got erased.
Yeah. Boo. Sad Harry.
I liked how Harry was kind of playing along with Tom's nautical fantasy, but 709 was like, no, I'm not playing your stupid child's game.
Bosun. I like her version of saying, I'll do whatever everyone else is down with, but I'm accustomed to siding with the collective. I was like, that's a funny way.
Yeah, that was a good line.
My personality is such that I blah, blah, blah. I liked that.
Yeah, it's like, that was a very subtle joke, and no one noticed.
I felt so bad for Riga that he brought all of his
his
kit
stuff
with him, and then said, like, we won't be needing that shit. We have better shit on the ship.
He looked so sad.
He was like, oh.
Put that garbage in the back of the ship where all the garbage goes.
And you sit back there yourself. I liked the creature we saw. The electric eel creature.
Yeah.
The bigger fish.
Yes. Yeah, there was that whole scene, I was just like, was George Lucas watching this?
Seriously, because it predates it by a couple of years, so.
Or does it? I don't actually know. Or is it
does.
About contemporaneous?
Yeah, because I thought this didn't the series end in like 2000 or something?
I thought it ended in like 2001.
Well, this is December 9th, 1998.
There we go. So it's a good 6 or 7 months earlier.
We're still season 5.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing, yeah, like, this would have come first, but that whole sequence had already been in development, so.
Probably.
Sadly, George did not steal it.
Yeah, very, very similar echoes of that scene, especially when they're passing through like the underwater city.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
It was pretty.
It reminded me of a level in Star Fox 64.
Oh shit!
Oh, yeah,
you're right.
there was that episode.
Polluted water episode one.
Good
the
luck.
whole time, I was thinking of. I feel like there's a scene where like Slippy is like, "It's so beautiful," and he gets like bitched.
Slippy was the most useless
Slippy's
fucking thing.
a frog.
He's a sack of shit.
He constantly is in trouble, and you have to rescue his
They're
ass.
on my tail, Fox! Save me! And you're just like, ugh, maybe if I just let you die, they'll give me someone competent.
I mean, they were all awful.
No.
Falco
was an asshole.
Falco was an asshole, but he was the best.
Peppy wasn't bad.
Peppy,
you're
going to be more like your father. Whatever the fuck he would always say.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway.
You have to bring up Dad every freaking day.
Speaking of bringing up Dad every freaking day.
Oh, yeah.
This episode.
Yes, Tom's daddy issues.
Oh, yeah. He had a weird dream sequence that I thought
That was dumb.
I almost never think dream sequences belong in an episode.
Cutting to a dream sequence in the middle of your flashback. Not a good idea. Because he's like, wait, when was he? Okay, because then he wakes up in the prison.
Oh, he's
so
dreaming.
Like, okay. Like, it was
weird.
It was clear it was a dream, but then it was like, oh, we've now jumped to... for fuck's sake. That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, nothing was gained from that. At all, whatsoever. It was terrible. I hated it.
Oh, I did like that. Obviously, stuff is happening whilst Tom is in the brig.
Yeah.
And someone comes in and we're like, oh yeah, we're under attack by such and such. You stay in the brig, though, obviously. And Tom's like, but I want to help.
Yeah,
but we get no context, and it's funny.
I like to imagine that it's the water people that are attacking them now.
I kind of wondered that myself. Like, are they still pissed?
No, the Malon are back.
These guys kind of remind me of the Malon a little bit. It seems like redundant to have both these people and the Malon.
No, because of the environmental
issues. Yeah, because they're both, Captain Planet villains.
I mean, I think the thing with them is just, it was less like we're making money off of pollution and don't care, and more we're too bureaucratic to see beyond the ends of our noses.
True.
It's a different kind of, like, it's less consciously evil and more just fucking stupid.
Well, yeah, it's more realistic. It's more... Because the villains are never Captain Planet villains that are just like, we will release the toxic waste directly into the preschool's air vents.
I saw that episode.
Julia Roberts would beg to differ.
That's true. Okay.
What the hell was that? Aaron
Brockovich.
That's the thing, is like, in reality, both are realistic. I mean,
true. But, like, really, it's more inaction or, like, bureaucracy that leads to problems in reality.
Yeah, like with this one, there's no clear capitalist motive.
It's just we're doing
inertia.
This is the way we always do it. This is the way that works for us. But like,
yeah, but once you're told that your shit's gonna be fucked in 5 years, wouldn't you be more willing to change?
Have you heard of this country?
Yeah. Janeway's got a good line. She says to Burkus, she says, "Are you more concerned with the future of your people on the shuttle? I think I said shuttle. Who knows what I wrote? Or your own political career?" I'm like, ooh.
And he was like, obviously my political career, you fucking dumb bitch.
Yeah. I don't know. I think really, if they just like had some more plant life in that water, it might have
that might, yeah. Although, is there anywhere to plant it? I guess is the problem.
It has to float.
It'd be like floating kelp and shit. I
guess.
Or just attach it to the sides of your cities and like a vine.
That's true. Big old hydro planet.
Yeah,
make a lot
sounds
of
like the
weed.
So like the problem here was that like there was oxygen dissolved in the water that lowers the density of the water, and then they're extracting that oxygen, which increases the density, but it wouldn't increase the total mass.
Wait.
Yeah, I didn't follow the science. All I understood was this is the cause of
I didn't try to. I was just like, all right, we've got the cause, I'm good.
They've established it, and we're moving on.
Yeah. I'm trying
actually, wait, though, because if it's just water that they're removing the oxygen from, doesn't that just make it hydrogen?
Well, I don't think they're, like, using electrolysis to separate the hydrogen. I assume, maybe. My understanding was that it was, like, oxygen dissolved in water, like what fish breathe, right?
I actually have no idea how fish work.
I guess I don't either, but I thought
the gills extracted.
It doesn't like
shit.
They're not performing like.
Yeah, they need oxygenated water. Like there are areas of the ocean that aren't oxygenated and they die.
Yeah, and so it's just oxygen that's
stupid fish.
Like oxygen molecules that are in the water, and gills.
Yeah, okay. Dissolved oxygen is absorbed from and carbon dioxide released to the water, which is then dispelled, and that's what the gills help do.
So I assume that's what their machines are doing, is doing that process. But it doesn't. The explanation that it is causing more, like increasing the density would somehow also increase the mass, therefore putting more strain on the machine.
Yeah, it doesn't actually make sense.
Because they're pooping.
Yes, but their food, I mean, it's a closed system, I assume, so it's not like they're adding more mass. I would think they should. I think the machine's just probably broken at the end of the day.
It is pretty old.
And, like, honestly, it's a cool place. It's a cool place to live. I get that. But come on, guys. This is not a sustainable thing. It's gonna fail eventually. Have a plan B. There is a planet B. Because
I was gonna say, where's Mars?
You got warp drive.
You got warp drives. We can go somewhere else. We can find another ocean. We could probably even, like, now that we know that this thing is just like basically a spaceship, we could probably move the whole ocean somewhere else and like deposit it on another planet.
Yeah, they said their peoples were primarily nomadic for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So they're used to, and they even say like most of us still stay in ships instead of in that pretty settlement that we saw.
Yeah.
Because they like it.
The ships were cool.
Ships were cool. I like how it's another instance where like they're at first they're very aggressive, and then like Janeway's like, yeah, we could fucking kill you if we wanted to. We would mop the floor with you, and we didn't. So.
And we used all your water for the mop. That's the thing. another episode in which Janeway is very strange, because she decides today of all days, I'm gonna uphold the living fuck out of the Prime Directive. Any other week, coin flip. This week it landed on heads, and I'm gonna uphold the fuck out of it.
Well, like I said, it's because it ups her chances of blowing shit up.
She did love blowing shit up.
You know what it is? And I could see it. You know, if I was, I could see being there on a day and be like, you know what? You want to fucking kill yourself? Fucking fine. Janeway out.
Yeah, but then it's going so far out of her way to stop Tom from doing it to the extent that she was prepared to assassinate Tom and lose the Delta Flyer because of Tom's decision.
Well, if Tom's dead, nobody else can fly that stupid thing, so...
Because of his special controls.
Special joysticks. So here's the thing, though. Janeway kind of knew what Tom was doing was the right thing to do in, like, the sense of actually helping these people. But she had to uphold the Prime Directive. If I were her in that position...
Look the other way.
I would have still fired that torpedo, but I would have, like, winked it too long and be like, make sure it misses.
Yeah. I'm reminded greatly, because we're also, our blogtivity, going to talk more about this kind of stuff. Wink, wink, don't you now? Wait 5 minutes and listen to the rest of this conversation. I'm reminded greatly of Captive Pursuit, the DS9 episode with Tosk, and how Sisko technically upheld the Prime Directive of not interfering with those hunters who were hunting Tosk. But when O'Brien takes it on himself, doesn't get thrown in a brig for any of this, fucking O'Brien, and Sisko says to Odo, oh yeah, go stop O'Brien, but wink, 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 extra hard wink, take your time, no rush. In fact, get me a sandwich before you do that, please.
Didn't Odo then literally walk really slowly towards the elevator?
It was a good time.
That's a good
he stands in the
episode.
turbo lift and says, and then, oh yeah, the button. Yes, quiet immediately.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it would have been more interesting but I guess I would have diminished some of it. Like, because she could have still punished Tom. She still could have put him in the brig.
Well, he has been a naughty boy.
Well, that's probably why he was just demoted and put in the brig and not...
Airlock?
What, shot into the sun?
Yeah, not given the Delaney sister
Not
the Vulcan goodbye?
Not maybe actually, confined to quarters for 2 years or something.
Oh, okay. See, I'm also reminded another DS9 episode we discussed a while back. I forget the name of it. It's the one where Jadzia almost dies, and Worf decides to go against orders and save Jadzia instead of do a thing.
Like Resolution or something?
No, I forget the name of it.
The one where they're on that planet?
The one where they're on that planet full of snakes and shit.
Yeah.
And Jadzia gets herself hurt somehow.
And they
she gets like Jem'Hadar poisoned or something.
Yeah, they
she like anticoagulant or something in their weapons.
Oh yeah,
They go through all this effort to save her, and then like 3 episodes later, she cacks it.
Sad face. But
Fucking
the point
bullshit.
I'm making is that when Worf gets back to DS9, Sisko basically says, dress down, wipe my hands of this whole ordeal, fuck you, Worf. But then pulls him aside and says, just on the DL, I would have done the same thing. I love you, man. And then leaves.
Yeah.
And then bamfs out of there.
That's why I
Fist bump.
That's why I think like one improvement they
Cartwheel.
could have done on this episode was have it be Janeway that comes to get him at the end instead of Tuvok.
Yeah, why was it Tuvok? Because it's a
Because
security
it's a security
officer?
thing.
Yeah,
but like it
exactly.
should have been Janeway.
But
where
it was Janeway in the last episode, too, coming into someone's quarters. Saying
That's
the
true.
Thing. I don't know. Yeah, like I expected there to be a little bit Janeway being like, I agree with everything you're doing, but I can't allow it. And there was none of that. There was only Prime Directive and how that's the only thing on her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with Nothing Human, there didn't seem to be any conflict in Janeway.
Yeah, which is weird, because normally there is. Because she's a person with feelings.
Side note, I'm starting to understand why Robert Beltran hates the show so much, and it's because they don't use him at all.
No.
Like, he's nominally like the XO, right? Like, he should be doing discipline and stuff. And yet...
Or at least banging his way through aliens, like
or at least,
Riker
yeah,
or
one
something.
or the other. But he did a little bit of XO stuff in the first episode, right? Like, because he was on the dealt with the complaint about, the genocidal maniac.
Yeah,
But you feel like they had him do that more just because of the Maquis connection than the XO thing.
And then in this episode, he was just completely absent.
Yeah.
Not involved at all.
Was he even in it?
He might have been seen. But yeah, I'm starting to feel really bad for Robert Beltran because he's not a bad actor.
No.
It's actually a really good
And
actor.
like he's well known for having kind of a chip on his shoulder about Voyager, and I people think, oh, he's kind of a dick because he's bitching about the show, but he kind of gets shafted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how you look at a lot of like the female characters from TNG as having a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Marina Sirtis has gone on record saying, "I've had so many fucking problems," and you're like, "Oh man, did you really hate TNG?" And she's like, "They treated the women like crap."
Yeah, they were mostly two-dimensional and...
When they remembered we were characters, they only made us get like sexually violated.
Oh, my breasts are sore.
Oh my god.
Or perky, or one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely don't blame them.
Yeah. I think that, like TOS, it was really the three core characters, and everybody else was kind of, like... Present.
Yeah.
Occasionally got a line.
Yeah, and, like, I think it worked, and it didn't leave us in the situation where it felt like, oh, these characters have to have stories about them.
Or personalities that we could establish as different from the other characters.
Yeah, and like I feel like TNG and Voyager both tried to do ensemble shows, but they didn't write them really as ensemble shows as much as they should have, in that we end up with just like, a few characters that get a lot of stories about them, and then a lot of characters that maybe get a story about them every once in a while, but most of the time are just kind of there.
Yeah.
DS9, I think, was the only one that really succeeded in being an ensemble show and having all of the characters seem to get pretty equal coverage in terms of the writing.
Yeah, it's why I'm looking so forward to seeing like what else they do with Strange New Worlds, because I think they've been doing a fairly good job at that. I don't know if any of the other modern Treks I could say.
I tried to make that point, and I made it poorly a while back. That like I think that Discovery sucks hard at that aspect, and that like there's a lot of bridge characters and a lot of characters whose names we may or may not know, but at the end of the day, it's like
it's the Michael Burnham
Michael
show.
Burnham, Saru, Tilly, and Book are like the only ones that get any like serious screen time, and like
Book is a newer character.
Yeah, and like so, and every now and again we'll get like a Wilson Cruz thing. Can't think Culber. Yeah, we might get Stamets or so, like a one-off story that they're like a B plot in or something. But yeah, as ensemble shows, I don't think Discovery does a great job.
I think just by benefit of having such a small cast, Prodigy's done a good job of
Prodigy's been pretty good
keeping
about
all the kids pretty heavily involved.
I feel, and I'll say to its credit, I think Lower Decks does a pretty good job as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They're focused on the four characters.
Picard, it's hard to be remotely objective talking about Picard because it's just so awful in other ways. But I don't think it's a good ensemble show. But then I can't really say what it is good at.
Jesus Christ.
I say it again, said it before. Excellent soundtrack.
There you go.
Some really,
Picard?
really beautiful music.
Oh, I'll have to listen next time we do a
genuinely
watch.
very good music.
The thing is, like, they want it to be an ensemble show so bad that they shoehorn in characters that shouldn't be there to do things they shouldn't be doing just because they have the actors under contract. And, like, ultimately, it should just be a fucking Picard show if they were going to do anything. But, no, fuck it. I'm not going to complain about Picard right now.
But yeah, Stranger World's been doing a pretty good job. I know they have said that I cannot think of her name right now.
Rebecca Romijn.
Ortegas.
Yes, is getting a focal episode next season because she didn't really get one of her own this season. I mean, she was still pretty present, but they're going to give her, like, an episode.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I like her a lot.
Yeah, she did.
Same.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else? We've gone really weirdly far afield.
There's been a lot to discuss, and a lot also that's just come up. One thing we did discuss a bit, and this will serve as our segue because fuck talking any more about this. We've talked so long. The applicable topic for this week that we're going to talk more about now, as if it's possible,
So many,
is the Prime Directive. Breaking it and upholding it, and whether any time that's good or bad. Because I feel like you can make like a almost like a Punnett square of breaking the Prime Directive versus upholding it, and whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, and all the little instances can fit in different quadrants.
I feel like we have to completely skip TOS because it had no idea what the Prime Directive was.
But here's the thing, though. You can still cite examples from TOS where breaking the Prime Directive went horribly wrong.
Yes.
You know, so you have like Gangster Planet, Nazi Planet, all these parallel Earths that were just like, oh no, we just accidentally taught them to be Nazis.
It's so weird though about how like little idea the show had about what the Prime Directive even was. Because like Friday's Child, they were openly making mineral rights, having mineral rights negotiations with a race of nomadic peoples that didn't even have gunpowder, much less space travel.
That's why they were on Friday Child Planet?
I thought so.
I don't remember why they were there.
Either way, they were very openly being like, hello, we're spacemen with a bunch of nomads without technology.
Yeah.
Like, the episode, at least the episode with the Mugatu, was like, Kirk had been there incognito previously. So, like, they were trying to keep spacemen secret from the locals. But there were other times, I can't think of others off the top of my head, but I feel like there were other times, like with Friday's Child, where they were just like, hello, ignorant cave dwellers! We are space gods from the future!
The apple, was the apple like that? The one where they, where
they killed the Vol statue thing?
Yeah, they destroyed their god.
Completely fucked up that culture.
That's the thing, like, they came up immediately, like, okay, so the very, very, very first mention of the Prime Directive. Season 1, Episode 2, Return of the Archons, which, if everyone remembers, is Red Hour Planet, which, holy fucking god.
With Landru, right?
Yeah, which is Landru, and they bring up the Prime Directive, they kind of state what it is. I'll go into what it is in just a second.
They call it, like, the non-interference directive.
They might have, but it's the first time
it's the same thing.
Yeah, so they decide in Return of the Archons, alright, it doesn't count in this instance because we're not interfering with a culture, because this culture has stagnated. And we're just giving it a jump start again.
That doesn't seem like a thing. That sounds like some made-up, on-the-spot bullshit to justify what they did.
Just am I going in and fucking up with some society that already exists?
I know that at least one case, maybe more, there was also just like, well, we've got to interfere because the Klingons have already fucking broken everything.
Oh,
so
like Errand of Mercy, or?
No, that would have been Private Little War.
Yeah.
That's the one where they go and they decide, well, the Klingons are giving weapons to these guys, so we'll give weapons to the other guys.
Well, but I'd also say, like, Errand of Mercy is also a similar kind of situation, except it turned out that the primitive aliens were actually incredibly advanced aliens.
Yeah, you couldn't fuck with their society if you even wanted to.
Yeah, but the Klingons had found what they thought were a primitive society, and were like, well, we rule you now, so Starfleet's like, it's already broken. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think there's probably too many. I think every episode of TOS probably has some Prime Directive violation. I'm going to say per capita. That's the wrong kind.
In proportion with the number of episodes of TOS there are, I think they have Prime Directive bullshit happen the fucking most.
Well, the other thing, too, if you ever read, which I did recently, which is why I'm thinking of it, Gene Roddenberry's original pitch.
Oh, yeah, that was floating around online recently.
Yeah, it was online recently, so I was reading it. And, like the core point of that pitch is they're going to explore parallel Earths. Like, that was the pitch for the show.
Oh, I don't like that.
No. Was it like...
That's why Miri happened.
Yeah, basically it was like, oh, we're going to... Not like literal, like Miri, where it's literally another planet that looks like Earth, but like, oh, it's going to be a mirror up to nature. We're going to go to all these places that are just like Earth, but in space, so we can talk about cultural things on Earth. And the other benefit of doing that is, we can just film on existing backlot sets. So it'll be cheaper. Like he even talks about we can go to, Al Capone planet and, we'll film on a studio backlot.
Yeah, or Gladiator planet.
Yeah. So it's these are things that are actually cited. And this is the 1964 pitch that was before they filmed Menagerie.
Like, at least with fucking Al Capone and Nazi Planet, there was contamination. It's fucking Rome planet and Yang's and Goom's planet that pisses me off.
Oh yeah, because that was
just parallel development.
Yeah, parallel development, which was
stupid.
idiotic.
Very stupid.
So stupid. Like, again, like, you want to say, whoops, we contaminated it? Great. But, ugh.
Where would you put Touch the Sky
Oh,
in terms of Prime Directive? Because
Oh, yeah.
they do save them, right? They redirect the asteroid.
yeah. If they were upholding Prime Directive, well, the thing is, it's because they're trying to save another society that the asteroid would hit.
That's true.
So they're saving that society that they already have contact with. That's already, I don't know if they're in the Federation or what. So I feel like they consider that within their rights to divert this asteroid, and then they happen to realize there are people in the asteroid.
who we want to bang.
That's right. They were already trying to. I forgot about that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that one's really extenuating.
I think they managed also to repair its course
they repaired the
without
computer.
rumbling the game to too many people.
Oh, you didn't read there's a book.
Yeah, well, yeah, the old dude, I think, got out and said the title.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think, by and large, the society was unaware of what had just happened.
Well, I mean, there's a novel that takes place after.
Yeah, that's
where Bones goes
that
back.
doesn't
And
count.
goes back to bang the tear a little bit.
Good for him. But yeah, that books don't count.
Nah. Things that do count. Okay, really,
Native
really.
American planet. That's another.
Mm.
That wasn't parallel development though. That was
we kidnapped some Native Americans.
Yeah,
and
that
gave
was
them
an
a
alien
world.
abduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Oh, that's true because they were going to save it from some comets or something that was flying toward them.
But then they didn't develop for 500 years, which was awkward.
What?
They stayed as the society.
Yeah, their society didn't advance at all after they were
Although
arrested.
it's
know
interesting.
that.
Well, because when
Technologically.
we see them, they're like Native American.
But we didn't see what they were like when they were abducted.
They probably were this.
How do you know?
Well, I guess we don't, but we know what Native Americans look like in Earth history. So I assume that's since they were from Earth, they would have looked like that. No,
I don't know.
but the thing about that, to that point, is like if the planet that they put them on lacked certain natural resources, they might have been stuck. Because if you think about it, if you don't have like domesticatable, like they say that like one of the reasons why relative to the like Europe, there were fewer like
large cities
and stuff
like that,
was because there weren't enough domesticatable animals in the Americas. So that made agrarian societies hard. So you kind of had to stay more nomadic and like a hunter-gatherer, which is why, like, especially in, North America, like all of the societies that did like establish and build big cities and things like that were all in like Central and South America, where there are llamas and alpacas, which are domesticatable, but there's no native domesticatable animals in like the United States and Canada.
Interesting.
So the society stayed relatively more nomadic because there was not a way to settle down and still get enough calories.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. There was a good CPJ, whatever the letters are, gray. CPG gray. Whatever's correct.
CPG, I think.
I don't remember. I'm so bad with the letters in this
Anyway.
YouTube video creator who made a good video about that. Getting back to Prime Directive.
Prime Rib Directive.
All right, I'm going to move us out of TOS.
Yeah.
And there's just a long list. I might put them all up on the Tumblr. We'll see how entirely untenable this list becomes.
Very.
Because I think one of the biggest fucking errors that you see someone entirely botch the Prime Directive is fucking Admiral Jameson.
Oh, God.
Who just decides, hey, various people on this planet.
Have some weapons.
It's okay if I give everyone weapons, right? It would be breaking the Prime Directive if I gave only one of you weapons, like back in the Klingon episode we discussed a little while ago. So I'm going to just hand them out like candy.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have some candy.
That idiot.
Also, I'm a fucking piece of shit to my wife.
Yeah.
He's the worst.
Fuck Jameson, man.
Yeah.
Dickhead. Terrible makeup.
Oh, real bad.
So bad. In his weird Professor X chair. TNG had one of what I found a very annoying bit of self-righteousness about the Prime Directive in,
Who watches the Watchers? Pen pals.
No, the one where they get caught up in a civil war. Bev gets kidnapped by...
That terrorism
Oh,
episode?
the terrorist.
High ground?
terrorist guy.
That sounds right.
I don't know. They're in that like mall.
Yeah, and their magical transporter is killing them all.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's the high ground.
Yeah. What annoys me about that one is
Bev
like...
wants to bang that terrorist.
Is like... They're like, oh, we can't interfere with your society, Prime Directive. It's like...
but we're gonna give you medicine and supplies and food.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if you're...
I didn't think of that.
If you're trade partners with one side of a civil war, you're interfering with that civil war. Like, if you really don't want to interfere, you should stand back completely. But by being a trade partner with one of the two sides, you're interfering.
That's a good point.
You know, it's like I've said a bunch of times as well, like, fine, you can't interfere with the culture, but maybe if they're shitheads, you don't talk to them. This is a little different.
You
Again,
have
it's like,
said that before.
yeah, a lot, because it drives me fucking crazy. It's that sanctimonious bullshit with the Cardassians.
Yeah. What about when Worf's bro tried to, not Curran, his other bro.
Sergey, right?
Yeah. Tried to
Is it
relocate.
Sergey?
Nikolai?
Nikolai. That's what it is.
Sergey's his dad, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I forgot.
Tries to save
Relocate
those people.
Oh yeah, wants to bang Penny Johnson.
Yeah.
Don't blame him.
Oh god, that's right. I forgot that was her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
she's all over the place.
Slaps him in the holodeck, and that was a clever way to do it while contaminating them as little as possible.
Yeah. But like the fact that Picard is like, no, let them die. Fuck that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like the same thing. Same thing. I know we brought up one of our favorite episodes from season 1. There are so few. Symbiosis, which was your society sucks and we really shouldn't interfere because Prime Directive. So I'm just gonna let all you poor people who are stuck dying of what were they going through? Withdrawal?
Yeah, super withdrawal.
Super bad withdrawal. I'll just, it'll work itself out later. We see them again in Lower Decks, by the way. They do okay.
Oh, wow.
After many deaths.
Oh, no.
After the culling.
Although wasn't part of that also, though, they're basically like, hey, good luck when these people rise up and murder you, drug dealers. I feel like that was kind of implicit.
Yeah, which... It's Picard saying, like, oh, I wash my hand of this because Prime Directive, whilst also, like, very, very actively deciding their future.
Oh, was that Addiction Planet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stuff in TNG that is just very...
They define it themselves. It's subjective.
Yeah, it's very much, and it's interesting because you're starting to see in larger discussions, like, aspects of TNG are starting to not age great. A lot of it is very much that kind of immediate aftermath of the Cold War, like, well-heeled early 90s liberalism that nowadays is a little like, oh, this was actually not great either. Like, you were making a lot of token gestures without actually doing anything.
Like in Pen Pals. Which I think they washed away by saying, well, this little 5-year-old girl who's been writing to Data every day did technically ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we can write it away and say this is why we're going to save your planet that otherwise, if through non-interference, would be destroyed.
What was the deal? It was something to do with dilithium, wasn't it?
I thought the planet was just dying, or
Yeah,
the
it was
star
like-
or something.
It was like super... like full of volcanoes or something?
Yeah, I remember there being volcanoes involved.
Was that all? I might be confusing that with another one.
It's a
Possibly.
little ugly creature child that...
Yeah, oh no, the child, I
I
remember.
liked her.
But I think, wasn't there like a subplot where like Wesley was put in charge of a
There
project
was.
and people were being shitty to him because he was, a kid? Because I feel like that ended up dovetailing. Like, he finally told them, like, look, I'm in charge, fuck you. And something his team figured out helped save the planet. That part I might be making up.
I don't
Regardless, the idea of I know like Data brought it to the conference table, did it sit and talk, and Pulaski was like, we should save them. Where are all of your fucking ethics?
Yeah.
And Picard says, well, I don't know. What does the Prime Directive have to say? I have it tattooed on my bicep.
I feel
Hold
like,
on, let me just show this primitive person their planet from space.
Tom even kind of pulled that in Waterworld there. He was
Waterworld.
like, I can't do anything unless you ask for help.
Yep.
Wink. It's like, Tom, that's not how this works. Oh well.
I said wink.
There's No, keep going. That's way off course. That's
okay.
much later.
Where was I going to keep going to?
Oh, I don't know. But I was
God.
thinking of, like, the pilot of Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
That's one that annoys me.
That very first scene.
Because it's like, all right, we're going to try to save this planet as undercoverly as possible. But again, what annoys me is, like, the Prime Directive can't apply here. This planet's water table is drying up because of a mining operation you built that went wrong.
That's what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, idiots. Why are they mining on this other people's planet?
They weren't. What it was is they were mining, I think, nearby. I don't know if it was them or some other alien race. But anyway, someone was mining near this planet. Something went all Star Trek 6.
Oh, Insurrection. Nemesis. 6. Undiscovered country.
Yeah.
Oh, Praxis?
Yeah, something went all Praxis. And that caused this other planet's water table to dissolve.
Mm.
And so at that point, I'm like, guys, there's already been interference. You might as well just...
Yeah, and now they're all gangsters. God damn it.
Yeah, that's what the Prime Directive needs. It needs a whoops clause for, like, somebody else already broke this place. Fuck it, let's actually do something.
I think it kind of does, because I think that it's already been fucked, this is us trying to fix it, is used so often. Like, I think one that does a really good job of that is another season or series premiere, the series premiere of Strange New Worlds. Minor spoilers ahead, because a thing entirely unconnected with this planet of people that the Federation caused is having effects on this planet, and Pike finally just says, you know what? Fuck it. Here's the Enterprise. There it is. I'm an alien. Look at me. Look at my fucking swoopy hair.
Look at my hair.
And you know what? This is going to be better for everyone if we just say, God damn it, can we help?
Oh, God. In fucking 200 years, the Enterprise C visits that planet, and everyone has huge pompadours.
Yay.
Yeah, that's a good example, though. There have to be times where you have to just be less stringent about it, because you're like, you know what? Oh, God. If we don't fix what's already broken, it's gonna be worse.
Well, Who Watches the Watchers is one where they fucked up. They were doing their fucking duck blind research.
Oh, such a bad
Never
idea.
a good idea.
No.
And contaminated the planet, and then they had to fix it. And, Picard almost died.
Yeah. And Bobby Hill was very upset.
Yeah. Father!
Did the father die, or did Bobby Hill die?
Neither of them died.
No one dies.
I could have sworn somebody died.
Someone
It's been a while.
on the Enterprise died.
Oh, well, that's fine.
And
And they made the girl watch.
And the father was Ray
Not
Wise,
Bobby
if I
Hill,
recall.
He was.
Was he?
Yeah.
No shit.
And when we saw him the other week, I totally
That's
forgot
right.
that
That's right.
He already had appeared in that episode.
Yeah, we like him.
Yeah, he's good.
Man, Ray Wise, anytime Starfleet gets involved, he has a bad time.
He really does.
His people get assimilated by Borg.
Does DS9 have a lot of, aside from, Tosk?
Not many. There was the Tosk one, which we brought up during our main discussion, and I think is a great way that they work around the Prime Directive, and Odo pretending to work but doing it very slowly is a good touch.
Yeah. I just, the nature of the show really kind of prevents it from coming up.
You'd think in dealing with the Gamma Quadrant, you'd be making tons and tons and tons of first contacts.
Well, but again, though, they're not
the ones doing it.
Yeah,
though.
it's not an
That's a good
exploration
point.
show like the other ones.
Yeah, they're the hub
Yeah.
that everything passes through.
The only one other than Captive Pursuit that I even saw mentioned really as a good example on the Memory Alpha page is Battle Lines, which is where Kaiopaka goes to become a zombie.
Yeah.
And that was one of the very, very few times they do go make first contact with somebody in the Gamma Quadrant, and it's entirely accidentally.
And they're assholes.
Yeah, I feel like the Ferengi make first contact that they do.
They do!
Fucking Quark goes and talks to the weird face makeup people in what you think is just this weird random episode, but hey, it's also the first time anyone says the words the Dominion.
Yes.
And that ends up
the
being...
Docile, those
the
people.
Tulaberry,
Yeah, I like that.
Tulaberry wine, yeah.
people.
It's amazing that that's where they seeded that. It's like, hey, here's this thing that seems inconsequential.
The writers clearly knew, we're going to do something with this later.
That
They
was
didn't know
amazing.
what.
They were like, the Cylons have a plan.
Yeah, but this time they actually
They
went
did,
Oh,
yeah.
God, it was Ron Moore, wasn't it? It's always Ron Moore.
Ron Moore all the way down.
There's going to be an Enterprise where It's very annoying because I'm pretty sure they have this whole, like, very unsubtle, maybe someday we'll have a directive.
Oh,
Yeah.
that episode, I know the episode. That is one of my least favorite episodes of Star Trek.
See, I remember liking it. Again, it's been a while, but it does deal kind of, again, it comes up with this idea of, like, okay, you can't interfere, but why are you dealing with these people? They are the worst.
Yeah, that's why I hate it, because I feel like they make all the wrong
It's like,
choices.
I am actually 1,000...
Dear Doctor is the name of the episode.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
It's on my list.
That's a different one. I forgot about that one.
Because Dear Doctor has a very unsubtle thing at the end where Archer's like, perhaps one day there'll be a directive.
Okay, so maybe I'm conflating two of them, but there's another episode where I am 1,000% on Trip's side when he interferes with this culture.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is a different
Tell me,
episode.
Find out which one it is, because I don't know Enterprise very well.
Yeah, I'll look into it. And yes, Dear Doctor, that's a good example too. I forgot about that.
Is it The Communicator by any chance?
No, that's a different one.
Because that's a social...
Social contamination one.
Yeah.
And that one was accidental. Like,
Dang
basically, they leave and then someone goes,
Oh, no.
I
fuck.
left my keys.
and they gotta go back and get their keys before it can be found.
Someone can reverse engineer a car out of your keys.
Yeah, whereas these are more like...
Who among us hasn't been there?
Dear Doctor's a whole ethical dilemma, and the other one I'm thinking of that I can't think of the title of is just we made first contact, and do, and Trip's like, wow, your culture sucks!
Yeah, okay.
And I'm like,
I can't remember what it's called either. But
Yeah.
Yeah, check it out. It may end up on the Tumblr, depending on how much of this ends up on the Tumblr. Because
Yeah.
breaking the Prime Directive just comes so naturally to
so
people
much
on
of it.
Star Trek. It's either breaking the Prime Directive or upholding it so annoyingly, like clam-fisted. That's not a word.
Clam-fisted?
Ham-fistedly.
But you know what?
Clam
Honestly,
fisted.
that should be, because clams famously, like, when they shut, if they don't want to open...
There you go. Very stubborn.
Like
stubborn.
Janeway,
Well, I feel
Janeway
like
this week.
there is some kind of clam.
Well, there's Happy as a clam.
Oh, that's right. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Clam baked.
I think there is something to do with, like, keeping secrets that is related to clams or something, but... I might
Tight
be...
as a clam.
Shut your clam. No, that's
There it
that's
is.
gross.
First of all, how dare you?
Oh, how do we feel about Insurrection? And that, because they're not
Oh,
really...
my God.
That's another duck blind, and it's another fucking up another culture thing.
That is... Well, first of all, there's two problems. One, they're like, oh, they actually do have warp, they just don't use it, so never mind.
They're just Luddites.
That's just Picard rehashing his bad decision from the Maquis episode.
Yeah.
But, this time he wants to bang one of them, so I guess I will break the Prime Directive. Or not follow orders.
It's deeper than that, because it's also like the people being advanced or not doesn't change a fucking thing.
No, I know.
It's, are we going to actually kill them all, but not through
not
any
just kill them, but like steal their natural resources from their planet.
Yeah, and relocate them forcefully, even though maybe they won't notice until they start dying.
Yeah, we wow, F. Murray Abraham is clearly evil as fuck, but we're gonna work with him.
Yeah, as soon as your partner starts, gets into his face stretching machine,
Run by his slaves.
Yeah, run by his exactly his slave harem.
Yeah, like
fucking A, man, you've made some bad decisions.
So many. But yeah, they do end up hand-waving the Prime Directive thing pretty early on, so it stops being a Prime Directive issue and becomes a moral dilemma.
Why is it not a Prime Directive issue?
Because there's even a line where they're like, "Oh, good news! These people have warp. They just
warp does not delineate whether the Prime Directive."
I thought warp was literally.
Well, the other thing,
that's the other thing.
Like, there's also the definition of the Prime Directive.
I have it in front of me.
Sometimes it means, well, in practice, maybe. I'm interested in what the actual definition is, but in practice it seems that sometimes it means we do not interfere in pre-warp cultures, and sometimes it means we just don't interfere in foreign cultures.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It means the latter, but the first one is nested within the latter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because it just means we don't get involved in countries. Here's the definition that's on Memory Alpha. The Prime Directive, also known as all these other fucking things, was the embodiment of one of Starfleet's most important ethical principles: non-interference with other cultures or civilizations, period. At its core was the philosophical concept that covered personnel should refrain from interfering in the natural, unassisted development of societies, even if such interference was well-intentioned. The Prime Directive was viewed as so fundamental to Starfleet that officers swore to uphold the Prime Directive, even at the cost of their own lives or the lives of their crew, though the literal application of this oath rarely, if ever, applied.
Yeah, we swear to uphold it with our lives, and yet there's 0 examples in all of Star Trek where somebody died to protect the first defense.
The closest anyone comes is the I Forgot My Keys episode of Enterprise. Yeah, no, the only reason I bring that up, though, is because they do the whole warp thing in Insurrection is because there's a whole scene where Picard mentions it explicitly.
Yeah.
So, like, in the movie, at least, their initial concern was that a pre-warp civilization had been exposed to the Federation.
Okay.
Like, that was actually in the film. I'm not just bringing it up
I think
myself.
that's where they stopped bothering with the blinds, though. I think the application of Prime Directive as we're going to destroy your culture is still very much in play.
Yes, but in that case, it's actually really the Admiral breaking the Prime Directive, not the Enterprise. Well, at first, they're concerned before Picard knows what's going on.
And the pre-warp thing also comes up in First Contact, not the movie, the episode.
Got it. BB New Earth looking great.
BB New Earth. In that, like, the whole way they're able to justify revealing themselves to the scientists, they're like, listen, we normally wait until you actually have warp drive, but since you're about to have warp drive, I guess we'll get it, we'll start early.
Start the paperwork a little early. So, be home by lunch.
Yeah, so creation of warp is the threshold for, do we talk to you?
Yeah.
And then the Prime Directive is really the matter at hand of is, do we give you toys and trinkets, which the Prime Directive says, don't give them toys or trinkets.
This does kind of get back to what we're talking with TOS, like, and this doesn't come up a lot, if ever, really, aside from that. It's like, how do you deal with the fact that you exist in a galaxy with cultures that
break it all the time?
Don't have it, that don't give a fuck. And I feel like that's rarely I've ever dealt with. Like, hey, so it's great that we want to not interfere and all, but I
mean, that's a private little war.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but since then they've not. Newer Trek, I don't think, at least, that I can think of, has ever really dealt with, like, there was never, like, the Romulans just set up a fucking hospital on this... Why would they set up a hospital? Just set up a badminton court on this planet that's, like, 20th century level and revealed themselves to them. It's like, oh.
Their badminton is only, like, 18th century level.
That's in False Prophets.
Which one's that again?
That's the Ferengi setting up their badminton court on the planet.
Good point.
Delta Quadrant.
Good point. But even then, so with that one, they were trying to undo the damage while still remaining within the realm of the Prime Directive, which seems kind of pointless. Like, it's already so broken, guys. Like, oh. But yeah, I would like to see that maybe deal with that again.
But how would they deal with it? Like, what's the best way to deal with it?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a writer on Star Trek.
Nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be
Clearly,
sure.
you dress up Neelix to look like the people.
Yes.
That works every time.
Yes. One of them passed away recently, sadly.
One of the Ferengi?
One of who?
Yeah, one of the Ferengi from that episode. He died in a car accident.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. I had no idea it was him until, like, he was on Voyager. Like, wait, what? And yeah, he was he was the one that basically had been replaced from TNG because the TNG version had no lines.
Yeah.
But now he had to have lines. But yeah, again, I don't know what the story is, but I'm also not a writer on Star Trek, so they can figure it out. Fuck. God damn, Lower Decks is going to do it now, and they're going to do it cheesily.
Yeah.
I think Prodigy could.
I have to say, did you watch this week's Prodigy yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. We won't spoil it, but
there's some
good Prime Directive shit
stuff
in there. So I encourage you to watch that one. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, we're all behind this week.
Yeah, and even though, like, the characters in Prodigy, they don't really know what Prime Directive is. They're new to all of this. I think they find a good way around it.
Yeah, good for them.
They're great.
Seriously, we bring it up a lot, but if you're not watching Prodigy, listeners, fucking watch Prodigy.
A good show.
It's so good.
Look, no one thought it was going to be bad more than me. It was a Nickelodeon kid-themed CG Star Trek. None of that sounds like it should work, but oh my god, it works.
And like some of the kid stuff is bad, but like...
But I was expecting so much more than it has.
And like overall, like the stories are really well done.
Yeah. And they're like half an hour each.
Yeah.
They're
But
not
also,
even a big
like, what would
commitment.
you consider bad kid stuff? Like the
I
fact
don't know.
that Janeway, like, sums up the moral.
Well, there was, like, some
yeah,
fart
that's
jokes.
fine. It's not that bad.
And Jankum is the worst.
Yeah, Jankum
Jankum is clearly
meant to be-
anything involving Jankum
is pretty fucking bad.
awful.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
they,
even kids, I feel like, must find that annoying.
no, kids
kids
love
love it.
repetition and shit.
Yeah.
They love goofy characters.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, if they really want to like try to have a big emotional moment, like, oh, we gotta airlock somebody, airlock Jankum.
Please, God.
He's fine. No, the thing I said to somebody recently of why Prodigy works is kind of because it's a kid's show, so they keep the stories simple
And tight.
without making them overly fucking complicated
Yeah.
like every other fucking Star Trek.
And actually, I would also say the shorter time probably helps, because then there's no like, fuck, we ran short, let's have a terrible B plot that's tonally inconsistent with the rest of the episode.
Right, if anything, it's probably the total opposite, where they're having to tighten things up because they have so little time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck, we've got 24 minutes because we
Yes.
have to make
Well, and
you know,
especially...
commercial breaks.
Yeah, especially because unlike a lot of the other new Treks, and a lot of streaming shows in general, where it's like, this is only ever going to be on this platform, so 1 week can run a little long, 1 week can run a little short. These eventually are going to get aired on Nickelodeon.
And they have to fit
So they have to...
They
a
aren't
slot with
already?
commercials.
They only started airing the first season, I think, like a month or two ago.
Why?
Because that was, I don't know.
Like, why would you wait?
They
Because
want
people have access to the streaming.
Yeah, they want people to have Paramount Plus.
Oh, yeah, that's fair, yeah.
So somehow we started talking about Prodigy. at
Yeah,
length.
sorry.
Yes, watch this week's episode. There's a great Prime Directive allegory that'll be up on the Tumblr. A couple other like little ones I wanted to bring up as a where do you guys put this in the Prime Directive categories? That episode of Strange New Worlds. Again, we're going to spoil Strange New Worlds because it's on my mind. God damn it.
Yeah, I'll put it in the thing.
The episode is called "Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach." It's the one with the really shitty society that
Oh.
Pike stumbles into, and he really wants to break the Prime Directive.
So badly.
The
rightly so.
Ursula Le Guin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they won't let him break it, and it's like, oh, but let him break it because these people suck. That one I thought of.
That's a good one. Even if, like you said, it is a bit the lottery, but still, they do enough extra stuff that I think, that's a good episode.
Yeah, that's a good episode. There's a couple Lower Decks episodes that were mentioned on the Memory Alpha, but I don't remember. Actually, the Peanut Hamper episode is pretty fun when you consider it through a
The
Prime Directive.
Peanut Hamper?
The Peanut Hamper one.
What?
Oh, right, Peanut Hamper. Yeah, is that what the thing's called?
Yes.
Shit.
Don't tell Chris and Caitlin.
I won't
let
tell
them.
them,
Let
but-
them be
Yes, I-
clueless.
I
still don't know
remembered
what you're
it
talking
had
about.
a stupid name.
Don't tell them what it is, because I love that Chris has no idea what the fuck we're talking
I won't.
about.
I'm just
This is-
picturing...
This is like when you guys talk about Batman, and I have no idea what you're talking about, but this is actually Star Trek.
I'm just picturing a laundry basket full of peanuts.
You're not far off.
That's pretty close, yeah.
That episode has an interesting Prime Directive story. It'll be up on the Tumblr. Check it
Peanut
out.
Hamper, I'll tell them this much. It's a character's name.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you know what? I feel like people have said it on shitposting.
Stop
I have no
giving
idea.
them clues.
But no, the thing is, like, he's right. I've seen it on shitposting, and I have no idea what it means, so it's fine.
Well, you'll find out.
What else is good to talk about before we wrap up? Oh, they had a fucking ATV race with that culture on Nemesis Planet.
Oh, yeah.
And the movie Nemesis.
Oh, yeah, they didn't even try to hide, like...
They were just like, Data's head's down there. Let's not check if there's life signs.
And then they fucking ramp right into a shuttle right in front of these weird Mag Max bastards.
That was a bad decision all around.
Yeah. Star Trek 4. Stealing some whales.
I mean, that's temporal Prime
Yeah,
Directive.
that-
Oh, good point. That's a different topic.
Yeah, that I think is too different a topic, because otherwise we'll be talking for another hour.
Yeah, no, that's
There's
a whole...
so many time travel
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Half of them involve Data's head.
Oh, there's the Outcast with Soren's people and how we tried to get involved and we couldn't.
Yeah,
shake
again...
No, Jay.
Shake it like a Polaroid.
Yes.
Again, like, I get it. You can't interfere. Stop being friends with them. God, I remember it being, like, a decent idea, and the end was heartbreaking, but a lot of it was, like, very much, like, meaning well, but kind of stumbling a lot of the way.
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of times Star Trek episodes get into this thing where it's like, okay, when it's time to save a culture, we'll gladly break the Prime Directive to save it.
Mm.
But when it's to help them out of their own mess,
well,
it's their fault.
But when it's a Starfleet officer that's in trouble.
like Injustice.
Like Injustice.
Yes, I was going to bring up Justice next.
We're going to stand staunchly by the Prime. And there's other examples. I feel like there's a couple examples even in Voyager where the same exact thing, where like the Tom or like B'Elanna getting her brain melted.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh, Prime Directive says we can't save our crew person. We got to let the thing go.
Was that in the mind reading people's minds?
Yeah. I can't remember what that was called, but that one, yeah.
Stray thoughts or something?
Just,
I can't remember.
Random thoughts.
There we go.
Yeah, where it's like, so basically it's the fucking writer's crutch is what the Prime Directive is.
Yeah.
when they want to have drama for the sake of, putting a character in jeopardy, the Prime Directive is fucking gospel. But when it's, we need to save this planet from Ardra, fuck the Prime Directive, Oh, a godlike entity is pretending to be a god. Fuck. Prime Directive my ass. Show him what's up.
That's a good point. You're right. What the fuck? Think if I was Starfleet, I'd be really annoyed.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to keep doing this because someday somebody's going to die for the Prime Directive. It's in the words, and we're very annoyed it's never happened.
Maybe it's like Janeway's blowing up the ship thing. It's like, well, I have the ability to blow up the ship, so I might as well do it. Well, I'm allowed to let my crew die for the Prime Directive, so if I don't do it, I'm basically...
That's really, again, I think that Voyager only needs one person's okay. Why? Oh, God. And yeah, it must have come up in the Nikolai episode, but, if a civilian violates it, is there really...
That's brought up in Angel 1. Because those assholes that land on Lady Planet just go in and fuck everything up, and they're like, "It's okay that we did it because we're not Starfleet.
Death by Snoo.
We can fuck the women all we want."
But I imagine if you're a Federation citizen, maybe you could be charged with a crime.
Well, I thought, but the Prime Directive is Starfleet Directive. I don't think Federation citizens are
beholden to.
No.
So that seems like a huge loophole.
Yeah.
Every ship should just have a coterie of civilians that they throw at problems they can't legally deal with. Maybe that's really
Keiko
why...
can do it wherever we go.
Maybe that's the real reason there were so many civilians on Galaxy class, but for some reason they forgot to tell Picard. Mm-hmm. He's like, why are there so many people here I don't want on my ship?
And children. He means the children.
Well, yeah. But some admiral's like, did anyone tell Picard about the loophole civilians?
I like
that. Shit!
That's a good idea. If there are any other examples, they can be covered in the blog post.
Maybe.
Make sure
Tumblr posts can only be so long.
Can they, though?
No, that's part of the reason
right.
Some of my early posts are in multiple parts. They were supposed to be one, but Tumblr has a limit.
I haven't hit that limit yet myself, so we'll see. We'll see how I do. Yeah, so definitely make sure that whatever the fuck I've written up, Jesus Christ, I have no idea how. It'll probably just be a big grid of where do they fall on, did they break it or did they uphold it? And we'll see if our hypothesis of they break it to save planets, but they uphold it to screw over individuals, if that actually is the case here. That will be interesting. Yeah, so make sure you're following that on our Tumblr. It's on sshppodcast.com, along with all of our other great blogtivities from the past, and we'll continue to be there in the future, probably. Next week, oh my god, we have more episodes to talk about next week.
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
We're going to keep watching Voyager, because that's what we do. Next week's episodes are going to be Counterpoint and Latent Image, so that'll be a good time. Make sure you're following along on whatever podcast application you use to listen to that. I use SoundCloud. You can use whatever you like. I also use Facebook. You can watch all of our Stardust Yearby things on there. I don't use Twitter, because fuck Twitter, but Stardust Yearby is on Twitter, so you can follow at least our podcast there.
Should it be, though? Should we quit and protest?
No,
yeah, probably.
I mean, it's gonna be gone.
We should change anyway. We should change our name to Patrick Stewart Parody for 24 hours. Tweet out some crazy shit.
Fuck that! Just name ourselves Patrick Stewart and get the verified.
No. If you don't say parody, Elon Musk throws a tizzy.
Can he get everybody though? I don't think he can get all of us. You be Patrick Stewart, and I'll be Spot.
There we go. That's what we'll become Spot for a day.
Yay!
Our post will just be...
I'm not paying $8 for that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not giving Elon Musk a red fucking cent.
So until next week, this has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
And this is... I've been demoted from Skipper. This is Swabby Chris.
Surfs up.
Swabby Chris.
Surfs down.